When Ben Simmons got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, I won't even lie to you guys, I had really high expectations. Not just for Ben Simmons, but also for the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets were this team that had underachieved for a good stretch of the regular season for a number of different reasons, including players not being available, injuries, poor cohesion, bad coaching. Look, I can go on. Despite everything that was going down in Brooklyn, I still thought the addition of Ben Simmons would be a breath of fresh air, not only for Ben Simmons, but also for the Brooklyn Nets and of course my guy James Harden. Everything had made too much sense in my head, and that's normally where the problems start to happen. Everything had made too much sense except for the fact that these were two teams in the same conference that wanted to contend, yet still made a deal that was supposed to improve both sides. Not necessarily intentionally, but I'm sure you guys understand where I'm coming from. Nobody really makes a trade with the thought process of, hey, I'm going to lose this trade. At the end of the day, everybody's trying to rip everybody off. Now, of course, there are some trades that are mutually beneficial to both sides. I'd actually like you guys to name some down in the comments below. While you guys figure out some trades that were mutually beneficial, I also want you guys to answer the question, did anybody really win the Ben Simmons and James Harden trade? It's still really early and anything could happen, but at this moment in time, are we looking at a clear-cut winner? The picks were clutch and Seth Curry and Andre Drummond were good for Brooklyn, but here's the thing. Brooklyn still got swept and the 76ers, they didn't make it out of the second round, leaving some people to believe that old James Harden is long gone. Which, by the way, if you guys want a video on Joel Embiid's unconventional words on James Harden, I'll be sure to bring that to the channel ASAP. This video, we have a lot to discuss, guys, but before we go any further, let's get a word from our sponsor. I want to give a major shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. If you guys don't know what DraftKings is, you're actually in luck, because they just so happen to be hooking it up for this video and its viewers. Their latest offer is actually too good to pass up. With DraftKings, new customers can bet $5 on any team and get up to $150 if they win. It's not often you get things like 30-to-1 odds on any basketball team to win their next playoff game. If betting on the outcome of one game just isn't your thing, you don't even have to worry because they have same game parlays also. Parlays give you more power to combine more bets for bigger payouts. If you guys are interested in DraftKings, download the Sportsbook app now and use promo code DCOOP. Again, guys, you can bet just $5 on any pro basketball team and get up to $150 if they win. All you have to do is download the app and make sure you use promo code DCOOP when you sign up. You guys know that Steph has been killing it recently, so I trusted in Steph and we're going to see what my code can do. Let me know any props that you guys like down in the comments below. Again, a major shout out to DraftKings for supporting our channel. Upon James Harden's departure, there were a few things that were abundantly clear. One of those things that was very clear was that there was some obvious friction between James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving wasn't all in for obvious reasons, and this rubbed an aging Harden the wrong way. Keep in mind that while Harden hasn't played his best recently, he's still shown a willingness to play through ridicule and injury for the opportunity to win a championship. Throughout the course of this season, Harden had reiterated his desire to win a championship. And this wasn't really some new quest for Harden or anything, this is just something that he's wanted to do for a while. I'm sure Harden's quest for a ring is mainly personal, but I'd be lying to you guys if I said that there wasn't a ton of outside pressure weighing in, regardless of anything that Harden says. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try to tune that noise out, there are times where it can reach a point where it's just too loud. As great as James Harden is, we all know about the nasty narrative that surrounds him. You see, Harden has proven to be one of the most talented offensive players to touch a basketball, but with great offensive talent comes great responsibility. Ring culture in the NBA is real, and it feels like the better you are, the more rings are brought up. Which I understand, but if you ask me, at the end of the day, basketball is still a team game. Nobody wins a ring by themselves, no matter how good they are. It's funny because while I talk about this, all I can do is think about Charles Barkley bus driver versus bus rider argument and shake my head. Basically, Barkley said that there are two types of players, bus riders and bus drivers. And if you're not a bus driver, then your ring really doesn't count like talking about it. I might actually be being a bit too harsh, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm talking about. I'm sure somebody can clarify what I'm saying down in the comments below. That would be greatly appreciated. Harden hasn't won a championship yet. And is part of that Harden's fault? Yes. But does that make him less of a player? My answer would be no. But if your answer would be yes, I would understand. Every time I log on to Twitter or check social media, I feel like there's some sort of Harden slander occurring. As somebody that's followed him for most of his career and has been a fan, I'd honestly say that, unfortunately, a lot of the criticism is fair. While I am fans of players, I do try to be a realist. I understand his flaws and I appreciate what makes him great. Honestly, when it comes to Harden criticism, I think we're all at a point where we can agree that he at least deserves a little. I also think that we can all agree that it's a little crazy that he's being criticized by Ben Simmons via Twitter likes. Have you guys seen that meme where it's like, I know that ain't who I think it is? Well, yeah, you heard me right, Ben Simmons. Mind you that Ben Simmons has not played basketball since losing in the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Atlanta Hawks. After losing to the Atlanta Hawks, the whole world kind of did this massive 180 on Ben Simmons. So I feel like Ben Simmons, of all people, would know what it's like to have this massive spotlight and to be shaded. Now that didn't stop him. Now, I mean, yeah, with Ben, he's been through it all to the point where I felt bad. His coach literally threw him under the bus, saying something that a coach should almost never say regardless of if it's true or not. Joel Embiid didn't really help to make matters any better. You know what, this is actually a topic for my next video. But before I completely move past this topic, I just want to point out that at one point, the Ben Simmons saga had gotten so bad in Philly that when Ben was finally traded, his teammate Niang said the whole thing was frustrating. I know mental health needs to be taken seriously, but a lot of us came here to win. We're all well compensated and have a job to do. We were depending on him. So now that we get someone who's even better, it's a breath of fresh air. The reason that I bring up all of this old information is because I can find all of these old Embiid and 76er quotes regarding their frustrations with Ben Simmons, but I have yet to find James Harden saying one bad thing about Ben. Now, maybe James Harden has shaded Ben Simmons. I just haven't seen it. Now, as for Ben shading Harden, I can't really say the same. A few days ago, Ben Simmons hopped on Twitter after the 76ers were eliminated and thought to himself, now would be a great time to like some James Harden heaters. He started off by liking a tweet that showed James Harden cooking in Game 3 and said, if washed and out of shape James Harden is giving the 76ers 30-point playoff games, then they won the Ben Simmons trade. LMAO. Liking this tweet is petty on levels that I didn't even know were possible by Ben Simmons. Mind you, this is somebody that had endured almost the whole world slandering him and has remained quiet for most of it. I know that there's been agents speak and all of that stuff, but still. Now, I know I said the same thing in my Ja Morant and Steph Curry video that I recently uploaded, but I'm still surprised at how petty some of these players can publicly be. Now, unfortunately, that tweet would get unliked, and he would like a new tweet from none other than Skip Bayless that said James Harden typically no-showed in the second half of this closeout game. Now, he's mostly just another gem Harden. Ben Simmons eventually will make this trade look so foolish for Philly. Skip Bayless called James Harden Jim Harden. I'm going to take a page out of Russell Westbrook's book, and I'm going to say that you really shouldn't be calling people out of their name. It can be a pretty high level of disrespect. He also stated that Harden no-showed again. For Ben to like a tweet saying that Harden no-showed is a complete and utter lack of self-awareness. Now, of course, there's a chance that Ben just liked the tweet for the trade part, but I mean, that still doesn't change the fact that Ben hasn't been available, and there have been reports that Nets teammates are already starting to grow frustrated with the fact that he hasn't gave playing a go. Remember, guys, the Brooklyn Nets ultimately got swept. That's another thing. Ben's team got swept. I can see why Ben would maybe want to like something like this if the Nets were en route to a championship and Ben Simmons had been on this nasty redeem tour. To be honest with you guys, something like that might have been hard. But to like that tweet under these circumstances is a bit crazy to me. Really, let me backtrack that a little bit, maybe under any circumstances. I've never been a fan at all of throwing shade via social media and especially via likes, but I will admit that it can get pretty interesting. In my opinion, Ben liking this is like dating a significant other and getting cheated on by that significant other and then getting mad at the person they cheated with instead of the person who cheated on you in the first place. Word of advice though, if you're ever mad at something like that, just move on and just be happy that you found out so you don't waste any more time. If you are James Harden and you see these likes, I want to know what you would be thinking down in the comments below. If you saw Ben post this, I also want to know what you'd be thinking. Okay, this one was actually fake, but I thought it'd be funny to include. It's safe to say that Ben feels a certain way about this trade, and if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, maybe that's a good thing. Now look, I could be reaching, but I personally would rather a petty and motivated Ben over a Ben that's kind of nonchalant. Ben's been on record multiple times saying that he's just needed a push, so hopefully all of this media scrutiny and this trade to the Brooklyn Nets can be what helps to get him over the edge. Ben's one of those guys that has too much talent and you really don't want to see that talent go to waste. Also, at this stage of the game, the Brooklyn Nets really need Ben. Who knows what their future is looking like. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.